You are not one bad month away from struggle. You are one income source away from it. That is a different problem, and most people never see it until the income stops. Here is what fragile looks like. One employer, one salary, one revenue stream that requires your presence, your health, your continued employment, and the continued existence of the company paying you. Remove any one of those four conditions and the entire financial structure collapses. That is not a plan. That is a single point of failure, dressed in the language of stability. The financial system taught you to focus on the wrong variable. It told you to earn more, spend less, save the difference. That advice is not wrong. It is incomplete, in a way that cost people everything when the conditions that made it work disappear, because saving a percentage of one income stream does not solve the structural problem. It only extends how long you survive after the single point of failure activates. Fragility is not about how much you earn. It is about how many independent sources that earnings comes from. A person earning $40,000 from 3 separate income streams is structurally more resilient than a person earning $120,000 from one employer. The numbers look different. The risk profile is not even close. Here is why that matters right now. The labor market is not behaving the way the previous generation experienced it. Job tenure at major corporations has been declining for 3 decades. The average American changes jobs 12 times across a career. Entire sectors have been restructured, automated, or offshored within 5-year windows. The implicit contract between employer and employee, show up consistently and we will keep you, has been renegotiated without your signature. You are operating under terms that were rewritten while you were focused on performance reviews. The response to that environment is not anxiety. It is architecture. Income architecture means deliberately building multiple streams that do not share the same failure conditions. This is the critical distinction most financial content misses. It is not enough to have multiple income sources if all of them disappear under the same conditions. A second job in the same industry as your primary job is not diversification. Freelance work in your current skill set that evaporates when your sector contracts is not protection. True income diversification means streams with non-correlated failure conditions. When one stops, the others do not. What does that look like in practice? It looks like separating active income from passive income. Active income requires your time and presence. Passive income does not. Most people have 100% of their earnings in the active category. That means 100% of their financial stability requires them to show up healthy, employed, and productive every single day indefinitely. That is the fragile position. The transition toward resilience begins the moment passive income starts covering any fixed expense. Not all of them. Any of them. One bill, one subscription, one recurring cost removed from dependence on your active presence. That is the beginning of structural change. The second layer is asset-based income. This is distinct from passive income in an important way. Passive income streams can still be fragile, a digital product in a saturated market, a rental property with consistent vacancies, a dividend stock in a company that cuts its payout. Asset-based income becomes resilient when the assets themselves are diversified across uncorrelated categories: real assets, financial assets, intellectual assets. Each category responds differently to economic stress. Each category has different failure conditions. Holding all three reduces the probability that any single economic event eliminates all three simultaneously. The third layer is what most people skip entirely because it requires patience and produces nothing visible for months or years. It is the systematic development of skills and relationships that generate income independent of any single employer or platform. Proprietary knowledge, a professional network that does not live inside one company's org chart. A reputation that exists in a market, not just inside a building. These are not romantic ideas. They are insurance. They are the assets that remain when everything else is restructured, automated, or eliminated. Here is the structural summary. Fragility is concentration. One income, one employer, one skill set, one industry, one failure condition. Resilience is distribution, multiple streams, non-correlated failure conditions, active and passive balance, asset diversification across categories, and portable human capital that survives organizational change. The goal is not to become wealthy enough that income no longer matters. The goal is to build a structure where no single event can remove all of your income simultaneously. That is the anti-fragile position, not invulnerable, not immune to disruption, but designed so the disruption in one area does not cascade into total failure. Most people are one decision away from beginning that process, not one investment, not one windfall. One decision to stop optimizing a fragile system and start designing a resilient one. The risk was never that you would earn too little. The risk was always that everything you earned came from the same place.